Today, I'm just bringing you 6 essential modern cocktails. These are gonna be super easy to make, things that everyone should know. And another exciting note is that we're reintroducing stirred cocktails into the fold. So we've done a whole summer's worth of shaken cocktails, which is really great. Shaken cocktails are definitely a lot more popular and they're very refreshing and yada, yada, yada. But you know what? I like to have a stirred cocktail every once in a while. Everyone should know how to make these cocktails anyway. So let's get into it. But before we get into the nitty gritty of what this video is all about, I want to talk to you a little bit about Trade, which is my obsession in coffee services. Trade is a subscription service that connects you, well, those of you that drink coffee anyway, to independent roasters from all over the country. Trade has over 450 different coffees from 55 different craft roasters, and each bag is roasted fresh for you. So Trade's coffee roasters use sustainably, ethically sourced beans from all over the world. So whether you want French press or pour over, or you use a mocha pot, if you want whole beans or ground coffee, they got you covered. All you gotta do is go to their website, fill out a short questionnaire that's just gonna ask you about some of your preferences, and they will send you a curated selection of coffees. They'll either send you a new coffee every time, or you can pick your favorites and they'll send those to you. If you're not the questionnaire type, Trade is now offering curated coffee selections. And guess what? They have curated all of my coffee selections into one page, and you guys can go check that out. So all you gotta do is click on the link in the video description below. Right now, Trade is offering new subscribers $30 off your first order plus free shipping when you go to drinktrade.com/barfly. That is more than 40 cups of coffee for free for you. It's a great deal. I would get on it. So what are you waiting for? Go get started at drinktrade.com/barfly and let Trade find you a coffee that you'll love. So the first cocktail we're doing is an Eastside. This is one of my absolute favorite cocktails. It's also one of those drinks that I used to use when I was behind the stick for people who said that they really didn't like gin. It was created by a guy named George Delgado in New York City at a place called Libation in 2004. That's all I got to say about that. Let's do it. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna grab a tin, 8 to 10 mint leaves in the bottom of your tin. And then we're gonna do 3 to 4 slices of cucumber. I'm using 4 because these are really small, but if you have really large cucumbers, just use 3. And we're gonna put those on top of the mint like so. 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup. Then we're gonna do 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. And then we're gonna pick our favorite gin. In this case, we're gonna be using Steve, the bartender's 3 full gin, and we're using the citrus one. And we're just gonna do 2 ounces of gin here. And you want to pick a citrus forward gin so that you make sure it balances really nicely with the lime and the simple syrup, but then also you want to feel those botanicals because you're going to be pairing up the botanicals in the drink as well. I'm going to grab a muddler and we're just going to give it a little press, and you want to make sure to just lightly press that mint. Just add some ice to our tin like so. Give it a nice shake. So a lot of people have lately been asking me why I double strain every cocktail, and obviously for this drink, it has actually mint and cucumber in it, and that's why you really need to double strain. But the other reason why I do it is because when you shake, you shred ice, and we want to keep all that ice out of the glass so that you don't get an extra amount of dilution on top of the dilution you added by shaking. And we're just gonna strain that like so. And for garnish, I like to take just a little mint leaf, give it a light tap to release those oils, and then float it right on top like that. So there it is, the Eastside. Let's sip it. So good. So it's basically just an upgraded gimlet. It's a lime sour, but what we've done was we add a little cucumber and mint that's pairing really well with the botanicals inside the gin. Also the citrus forward flavor profile inside this particular gin is also going really well with the lime, and you have this just very nice, vibrant flavor. We release the oils of the mint, so we got that as well. And then if you sip it with that little mint leaf on top, we've released the oils, and so you get a little mint on the nose. There it is, the Eastside. So the next cocktail we're doing is called a Green Point. It was created at Milk and Honey by a bartender named Michael McElroy around 2004. And Mr McElroy is actually the other half of Attaboy, which is the cocktail bar that opened up in the Milk and Honey space after Milk and Honey closed. So I know that Sam Ross gets a lot of attention on the internet and everybody loves his cocktails, but Mr McElroy has created his fair share of modern classics. This one is one of my absolute favorites. It is also one of the very first Manhattan variations that when I was introduced to it, I fell head over heels for Manhattan variations. And for like a year, that's all I drank. It is one of those Manhattan variations that bartenders in New York at the time were creating and then naming after various neighborhoods in New York. This one obviously is from Greenpoint, Brooklyn. 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, 1 dash of orange bitters. So this one's really simple. We're just gonna do half an ounce of sweet vermouth. A lot of people think that Carpano Antica is a little too flavorful for this cocktail, but I really like it. If you want something a little more subdued, you could do Coque de Torino, or you could do Dolan sweet vermouth, also works really well. So we'll just do half an ounce. And then half an ounce of yellow chartreuse. 2 ounces rye whiskey. We're using the Old Forester 100 proof. Got my big old piece of ice to crack. All right, there we are. Yes. So I'm gonna stir it till it is sufficiently chilled. A little trick though is that if you're, building around at work and you got some stir drinks and you got some shaken drinks, you can just basically take your stirred drinks, you can build them, put the ice in them, you can stir them a little bit and then let them sit while you build the other drinks, and then your dilution will be really nice. And we're just gonna strain it. Lemon twist. And then we're just gonna zest that over the top of the cocktail like so. And maybe just like that. You have it for the nose as well. I mean, you'll have it for the nose anyway, but it's just nice to be able to smell it as you drink. I mean, it's really hard to quantify how much I love that cocktail. You get the botanicals of the vermouth, you get the yellow chartreuse, which also contains a lot of botanicals. It's light, it's flowery. The sweet vermouth though is giving it like a little heft in the back palate as you swallow, and then you get that nice savory character. The rye whiskey's spicy, you get a little bit of that malt. It's a perfectly balanced cocktail. It's just, chef's kiss, I love it. There you have it, guys, the Green Point. All right, next cocktail up is called an Ancient Mariner. This is 100% my favorite tropical cocktail. It was created in 1994 by Jeff Beach Bumberry, who is now the proprietor of Latitude 29 in New Orleans. I'm gonna take the zester here and we're going to go around the circumference of the lime. We're gonna go to the center of the lime here on the top, and we're gonna just scratch some marks down in a cross pattern. And then we're gonna do the other side as well. You want to cut with the lines. 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. Half an ounce of simple syrup. Half an ounce of grapefruit juice. 1/4 ounce of allspice dram. Ounce of Demerara rum. And an ounce of dark Jamaican rum. Scotia ice in the tin. Whip shake it. Ungated pour. Fill with pebble. Cut a notch in your lime. Give it a slappy poo. Crushy pants it. Into the cocktail it goes. It's like everything that's great about a tropical cocktail without it being overly sweet. You get the spice notes in there. You get the Jamaican rum funk. The flavor profile is then supported by that Demerara rum. You get a little of those molasses flavors. You get a nice bright tartness, which is balanced out by the simple syrup and the allspice dram. But what's really nice about this one is that you can also really feel that grapefruit in there, and it's like an extra little bit of bitterness on the back end, but it's still really bright, really refreshing, really nice. It is fantastic. And if you make this cocktail, it is gonna be your favorite. So there it is, the Ancient Mariner. So the next cocktail we're doing is called a Revolver. It was created by a guy named John Santer at Bruno's in San Francisco around 2004. And it also became very popular at a bar called Bourbon and Branch, which is another bar in San Francisco that John Santer worked for a little while. A lot of people call this a Manhattan variation, but there is no sweet vermouth in it. So it's more an old-fashioned variation, but it is served up in a coupe. First things first, we're gonna grab this. We're gonna do 2 dashes of orange bitters. And then very simply, this is the easiest cocktail you're ever gonna see here on the Educated Barfly. Half an ounce of coffee liqueur. We're actually using the single origin Mr. Black, which is the Ethiopia that they're making. So into there. And then 2 ounces of bourbon. The original calls for Bullet, but I like the Old Forester in this drink, so that's what we're doing. We crack our first piece. A couple big pieces on top, like so. And we'll give it a nice stir. We're just gonna strain like so. And then I'm gonna take an orange here and we're gonna cut a disc out, because when you flame orange peel, which is what we're gonna be doing right now, If you just take a peel, you're not gonna have enough pith to be able to get enough oil to really flame it. And so what I like to do is just take a little round like so, making sure that you get a little pith on the other end. So you get a nice spritz. Take some matches. I don't know if this does anything, but I like to heat up the peel a little bit before I do this. You ready, Marius? Let me just drop that in like so. And we have our Revolver. Let's give it a sip. Yeah, it's real nice. I mean, you know, obviously you're getting a little bit of those bourbon notes, but of course that coffee liqueur is going to be the most prominent flavor in this drink. The orange bitters really tempers the sweetness, and then you've got that burned orange peel. You got those caramelized citrus flavors on top, which is really nice. I like to, if you're using matches, I like to let the match sit for a second, because I've just noticed that when you strike it and then do it, immediately you get a little bit of that sulfur kind of flavor. So I like to see if that sulfur will burn off a little bit. So I just say light the match, count to 2, and then you can do your flamed peel. So there it is, the Revolver. The next cocktail we're doing is called a Gin Mule. It was created by Audrey Saunders around 2000. Audrey Saunders is a very accomplished bartender. She has a whole list of modern classics under her belt. And this drink was created in the days when vodka was still king and gin was just sort of emerging. And this drink was one of those drinks that sort of ushered in the kind of gin revival. Grab our tin, and then we're gonna do some mint leaves again. The original recipe calls for 6 sprigs of mint. And this is a sprig, so 6 sprigs of mint seems a little excessive to me. I'm doing 8 to 10 leaves like I always do. For me, that is enough. And then we're gonna actually invert the recipe that we normally do for a sour, and we're gonna do 1 ounce of simple syrup and 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. And then we're just gonna do 1.5 ounces of Tanqueray gin. You do not have to use Tanqueray, but this is the original gin she used, and so we are using it as well. So anything that's you know, citrusy, but then also has a lot of juniper and angelica root is gonna work really well. And we're just gonna press lightly to release those oils. We are gonna take a little bit of ginger beer here. Just put about 1.5 ounces in the bottom of the glass, get that effervescence going. Put some ice in there like so. Add some to our tin. Give it a shake. And then we're just gonna add in our cocktail, double straining it like so. Add a touch more ginger beer on the top. And we're gonna do our crushy poo and our slappy pants here. Just add that in like so. So good. And a little bit sweeter, you know? And so you get like a little bit more sweet, and then the tartness is a little bit more on your back palate. You get all those nice botanicals. For gin, it's real easy to drink. Someone said that this is like, I heard this described as like the love child of like a Moscow Mule and a Mojito, but I think it's actually more like a Moscow Mule and a Southside. So a Southside's a gin gimlet with the addition of mint. Either way, it's very nice and refreshing. It is 88 degrees here in this garage right now that we're shooting this in, and so I think I'm just gonna take this and drink it. So the last drink that we're doing is called a Penicillin. It was created by bartender Sam Ross at Milk and Honey in 2005, and it was Sam Ross's variation of a Gold Rush. This is one of the rare cases that the variant cocktail has become more popular than the original cocktail was based on. But all of these cocktails go back to a bee's knees, you know, and then the Gold Rush is just a bee's knees with bourbon. 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. In the bottom of our tin. 3/8 of an ounce of ginger syrup. 3/8 of an ounce of honey syrup, and I'm using wildflower honey syrup here. We're gonna do 2 ounces of blended scotch. We're using monkey shoulder, which goes really well in this cocktail, although I do believe that the original used compass box, but I'm not, don't quote me on it. You know, I'm gonna find this out. So this cocktail sits on a rock, so I have this nice pre-cut rock for my glass. I'm gonna put that in there. Give it a shake. And we're just gonna double strain over a rock like so. And then this calls for a float of Lafroig. I like to do it in an atomizer, and you just get really nice even coating. Just a couple of sprays on top. You get that nice smoke. Let's give it a taste. I mean, this is such a brilliantly executed cocktail. Because you have the Islay Scotch on top, you get all that minerality, that peat, smoke, but the cocktail itself has the tartness from the lemon juice, and then you have the savory sweetness of the honey and the spice of the ginger together, which goes so well with the scotch. And then obviously you've got that nice blended scotch for the body of this drink. It's really, really great. I did not put a garnish on this guy, but the garnish that is called for is a piece of candied ginger. That's just sort of toothpicked to the side of the glass. And when we went to the store, we forgot it today. And this is one of those things that I forgot that I cannot correct in the video because we just don't have it. So there it is, the penicillin. All right, guys, there you have it. 6 essential cocktails for you to make, including some stirred cocktails, which I'm very excited about. And if you're not excited about them, I don't know what to tell you. Go make the cocktails, enjoy, and I will see you guys in another time.